Hey there, and welcome to the Fiihr Factor, a podcast that shines a light on real stories, smart strategies, and the occasional hard truth about running a business. Think of this as your quick dose of clarity before your first cup of coffee. Let's go. I have the pleasure of meeting with Mohammed Selia. He's got a really, really cool company. I've never interviewed anybody with your kind of global logistics, and I'm super excited. So thank you for taking the time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Warren.
So first, tell me, if you would, tell me about your company.
Yeah. So think of us as a mini Amazon. Okay. We are the people that help getting a package from the warehouse to your doorstep. So from the time you click a button online, you hit buy, that's when we start coming into the picture. So when you hit buy, the orders are in our system. We pick them, pack them with a lot of care and love, and then we ship it using one of the national carriers. So the package comes to your doorstep. We work with Amazon. We have clients that work with Amazon. We have clients that sell products directly on their own platforms. We have other business models as well, where we support business to business companies that don't want to get into the hassle of warehousing and storing products and going out there and managing inventory, managing employees. And then we're really big in promotional merchandise. So anything that has a brand on it, think of any merchandise, logos that go on t-shirts, pens, journals, you name it. We store them, and then we help those Fortune 500 companies distribute it across the globe, whether it be to a client site or to their satellite offices or to employees' homes, now that we have a work from home culture. So those are the three main areas that we support as a business.
So that sounds complicated, first of all. So,
Yeah.
How did you get into this business?
So in 2018, I was actually a part of a family business, and I was looking to start something of my own. And the gentleman who started this company in 2002 was looking to retire. And I thought fulfillment, logistics, small parcels, shipping products to people's homes, that was going to be the next big thing. In 2018, the market had developed, but not to the size and scale that we see today. Amazon was still getting people used to buying products online. So at that point in time, I thought that was going to be a good industry to kind of dive into and see how we can grow as part of our first acquisition. So I bought the business in 2018. And from there, it's just a lot of, we were mom and pop operations. So we started bringing processes into pictures. From my previous work-life experiences, I had a lot of understanding in terms of processes and building systems and improving efficiencies and kind of growing the business. So, today we're proudly in Houston, Texas, and Fremont, California, and the West Coast. And by the end of this year, our goal is to be on the East Coast as well. So that way we have whole of the U.S., mainland U.S. covered.
Wow. So I find this really interesting because people think about building a business or buying a business, and you looked at a whole bunch of, I'm sure you looked at a lot of industries. So you settled on this. How'd you settle on this, or how'd you go through that process? It's really interesting.
So I was looking at businesses and came across this one. Me and the broker kind of also had a good relationship going. So he understood our needs, and he was like, when you're looking at businesses, you'll find a lot of small businesses, a lot more effort. This was more like, hey, this is more of your caliber, where you can go in day one, revenues look good, semi-systematic. You can go and only then focus on improvement and growth. So that's where, it was a good fit for us at that point in time.
That's awesome. So you mentioned systems and processes. Having spent a lot of time in corporate, we had a lot of systems and processes. I find in a lot of businesses, they're not always familiar with how you can really amplify scaling through adopting a lot of systems and processes. Can you talk to me about kind of your pattern?
Initially when we started off, a lot of things were extremely complicated as well. Because it was a mom and pop operation, the answer to every question was the owner. And as we kind of dive deep into the business and the processes, we started understanding that we have to move away from this mindset because it was a culture thing. We had to start from the bottom and have everybody start thinking about processes. So then we started having people write up their own SOPs. All right, let's talk about what is it that you do every single day. And we motivated people. We said, okay, if you write this, it helps you because when we are growing as a company and you want to train somebody, we don't have to feel like you're going to have to be stuck in that position because the incoming person doesn't know what to do. They're going to be reliant on your knowledge. So the moment you document this, now you can say, hey, here's something documented. Here's the process. Here's what we follow. I'm going to train you on this. And after that, it is your job to refer to this. Goodbye. I'm moving on to a higher role. So that kind of pushed our people. That got them motivated to start thinking about this. And we started introducing some disciplines as to the core values of the company, right? We started talking about what do we do as a company that differentiates us from all the competition? Because mind you, in 2018, we didn't have as much competition. But as years rolled on, people caught on to this industry. We started getting a lot more competition. We said, okay, it's only service is not going to be enough. What are other things? So internally, we looked at the culture. We changed the culture. And one of the key pillars of our company is lifelong learning. And lifelong learning starts internally. You start documenting things, you learn those things, you improvise, right? So then now comes into picture the second pillar, which is attention to detail. Is, hey, yes, I wrote this down and yes, I was trained on it, but how often are you going back and updating it? So those are the key things that we started looking at in terms of implementing processes. And we started doing that across all different positions and roles that we had in the company. And yeah, we just from there kind of developed a standard operating procedure. We have standard operating procedures for every customer because the needs are different, right? Well, customer A is completely different from customer B. Yes, the process that we're involved in is pretty straightforward in terms of pick, pack, and ship, but their needs are different. Somebody might want a pink tissue paper. Somebody might want a ribbon. Somebody might want a little bow. Somebody might want an insert card. So how do you train people on that? And that was one of our biggest challenges. So then we ended up implementing a really strong and solid warehouse management system, which kind of allowed for these processes to be implemented and monitored. Because implementing a process is one thing, but how true are you going to be to those processes? That was key. That was key. So yeah. So it's been a couple of years, and I think we've been doing pretty well.
That's amazing. So there's so much I want to ask you about specifically in what you just said. Number one, you come in, you buy this company. The company has a culture of everybody reports to the owner and you get asked the owner for every single thing. And so the owner's just constantly asking questions, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they have their day job, and apart from that, they have other things that need to be taken care of. And now they're absolutely battered by the end of the day.
Yes. And so then empowering, because I've had the same thing with my clients. It's like empowering the employees, saying, this is your scope of decision making.
Absolutely.
Anything in this scope, you can make a decision. I trust you.
Absolutely.
You've been trained. You have our procedures. You have you understand our core values. Like,
yeah.
Does it fit in our core values? Yes.
Absolutely. And that's a good point, because I was watching the show last night, and one of the scenes is like, there's a problem in an oil rig, and one of the employees goes up to the manager and says, here's the problem. And he's like, I didn't ask you for the problem. I asked you for the solution. And that kind of hit home for me. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to take a leaf from this playbook and use it, because oftentimes, our first challenge was, how enabled is our team to address these challenges, right? And then we realized that there was a lot of training that needed to be done, because they were coming in and just doing what they needed to be done and would leave at the end of the day. And we didn't want a bunch of robots. We wanted people who can think, who can make decisions, who can implement new processes. So that's the kind of open door culture that we had to implement first, is, hey, let's relearn how to improve, how to become better. What is it in store for you if you do these things, right? So those were some important questions that we had to sit down as a team and decide, because then I was slowly taking things off my plate and saying, okay, you guys are in charge of this now. You guys are in charge of this now, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, it's a time consuming thing. And in the beginning, you as an owner are working now at 2x the amount of time that you're working, because, You have other things that you need to take care of. But apart from that, the training and the implementation of these processes takes a big chunk of your time. So it's not an easy task, but once done, it will definitely free up a lot of your time.
Yeah, I love that. It's amazing how, and I also counsel my clients, and this is so fun that you say this, but it's not a revolutionary idea, but the idea of, hey, when you come to me with a problem, you better have at least one solution, preferably
Absolutely.
a couple, and then tell me
Absolutely.
why, what you would do. And then most of the time, and a lot of times the employee will come up with a better solution than we as a leader or owner would have, right? 'Cause they're in it.
100%. I agree with that because, we're looking at it from a bird's eye view. And I tell them all the time is that don't come to me expecting me to have all the answers. I can guide you, but I might be guiding you in a totally wrong direction. So your feedback to me is more important than my giving you the solution. So when you say, give me your perspective and let's brainstorm, let's figure out where the bottlenecks are, what the issue is. Let's get down to the grassroots level and figure out and go from there.
Well, and if like yours, I know you want to ensure that the right product reaches the right customer at the right time. So like it's in that framework.
Absolutely. That's our mantra. That's what we live by. It encompasses everything that we do. And I love that statement because don't need to think too much. What we do from the time we get into this building to the time we get out is all nicely, concisely, summarized in that statement.
And I like that your statement is so simple because a lot of people will write something like this and it'll be so complicated and so long. Like I think it should fit on the front of a t-shirt, right?
Absolutely.
And yours is,
That's
it's
amazing.
so simple.
That is so great. You know what? We'll make t-shirts just because thank you for suggesting that idea. That's a great thing. We'll definitely put that on a t-shirt.
Right product, right customer, right time.
Yep.
Right?
Yes,
very simple. Like
very simple and straightforward, right?
So then the other thing that I wanted to capture is when you're going to, okay, so now the employees can make their own decisions. Then we as leaders, if they make a decision we don't like, we got to be okay with it. We have to have a chat about it because we blast them. They're never going to make a decision again because they weren't there. Right.
And you have to be comfortable with that. Leila Hermouzi, I was reading something on Instagram from her last night, and she said, one of her employees made a $20,000 screw up. And her employee was expecting to get fired, or I think it was one of her assistants was expecting to get fired. And so that Layla sat down with her and said, okay, how do we prevent this from happening in the future? And let's break down as to why, what was the bias for you to make this decision?
Yes.
So I totally agree that yes, as you make, empowerment is not an easy task for some owners. They're so emotionally and obviously financially attached to the company. But once you make that conscious decision, I think you have to live with the consequences, right?
Yes.
You have to have the trust in your people. You have to know that they'll do the right thing. And that is why, we have weekly meetings. And in these weekly meetings, we talk about, all right, talk to me about one problem that you had this week and how did you solve it? And that kind of gives me feedback to understand where they're thinking. Are they thinking along the right lines? Where do I need to guide them as a leader that helps them to make better decisions, which in turn helps the company perform better?
Yes. And I also love that when you're talking about implementing these things, you're having the employee do the work and bring it to you as the owner. So if it's
absolutely
write down what you're doing so we can capture it and put it in our standard operating procedures.
Yeah.
That employee does the work and they bring it to you. You're not following them around.
Right.
With a piece of paper writing down
because
what they do.
I tell them all the time, I don't know your job. Yeah, if you were to leave tomorrow and I was to push comes to shove and I would have to do it, yes, absolutely, I would be able to do it. Nothing that anybody does is rocket science, right? But I don't want to do your job. That's why you're here. That's why you're good at what you do. And I want you to be able to perform better at your job. So you tell me, how am I going to make your life easier?
Brilliant. Okay, awesome. So I want to ask transition a little bit here and ask you about AI. How's AI fit into your company for the future?
Oh man, AI is such a huge portion of what we do. I think as an industry overall, we're going through a huge dynamic shift in our perspectives. Obviously, when it started off, people were scared. But at the end of it, it's not here to steal jobs is what we think. It's only here to help us perform better. Simple classic examples is how can we leverage AI to provide better customer service. Instead of the customers having to wait for us to respond to their emails on, simple things, how do we leverage it to perform better? So those are that's the kind of direction that we're thinking about. How do we use it to manage the warehouse better? How do we use it to become more efficient in what we're doing? So that's where our thought process is. Obviously, there's a lot of development that still needs to be done around these questions.
Sure.
We're seeing the industry come up with solutions. Some of them have to be tested. Some of them seem like genuine user case. But all in all, I think the future of our industry is going to be, how are people going to blend the AI aspect of the development piece and their human resource piece and bring it together in a successful manner? I think those people are truly going to be the ones that are going to be leaders in the next decade or so.
That's brilliant. Yeah. The balance between people and technology, and how do we use it to leverage, how do we leverage the right things, I guess?
The right tools.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So can you give me an example of maybe one thing you would have done differently as you brought this company in and grew it?
I think that we waited too long to implement processes. We just started doing that about 2 to 3 years ago. Well, that cycle was a little too long for us. The realization was a little too long for us. We got a little carried away with trying to understand the business and just trying to learn it. And we were working too much in the business. So about 2 years ago, I made a conscious decision to step away from it and focus more on the growth aspect of it, the process aspect of it. And I wish I had started a lot more earlier, because then the growth trajectory we would have looked completely different than where we are today.
Isn't it funny how as business owners, we get in this place where we're like, I'm somewhat risk averse. I've got this money in this business. I don't know when the right time is to hire. I know I need to hire so I can scale myself. And then when we actually pull the trigger, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, it takes so much time off your plate to then you're focused on what you love to do, is why you started the business. I think often we forget about that question is, we start on a journey and then we just start being so busy with the day-to-day that we forget the reason why we started. And it's important from the get-go to have the mindset that, yes, I will do this, but this is only temporarily. I need to have benchmarks in mind that once I reach this level, yes, I will hire for this position. So definitely, I totally agree with you on that.
So what do you see your business like? What does success look like? Or what does it look like when it's finished?
We have a 5-year vision here at Fulfill Plus, and our ardent desire is to have a location in every part, emerging and developed economy, to have at least one location to serve a region over the next 5 years. So we're working towards that. There are some interesting technological developments and improvements that we're working towards. So there's a lot going on right now. The question is, how much do we want to take on our plate? How much can we chew on, right? While making sure that our attention to detail to our customer is not diluted. So and that's where people are going to play a pivotal role. They're going to help us get to where we need to get to as a company.
That's brilliant. So are you going to be, when you say developing economies, are we talking global?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So this year our aim is to kind of cover US really well. And then next year onwards, the hunt starts to, what locations do we be? I mean, we already identified some locations, but where do we establish the first location outside the US? How do we play with those synergies? Because we have sellers in other countries and we have sellers in the US. How do we take them to other locations? How do we help these businesses perform better in terms of revenue, give access to new markets, to give access to new ideas? And I think that's going to be a key for us and our success.
Yeah, while still keeping the core operating system in place and growing.
Absolutely.
That, right? Like that's the key.
That's the key. Right? There's no questions about that.
What do you think will be the biggest hurdle to overcome as you expand?
I think for us is going to be getting people to see the vision that we have, because generally people run towards working for larger organizations, more stabilized jobs. Our industry is fragmented. It's very chaotic. Everyone wants everything to go out today. And it burns people out, to be very honest. If you are not, if you don't have a way of going about it, it will burn you out. So that is going to be our key challenge, is how do we keep people motivated while ensuring that they have a healthy work-life balance, while ensuring that they stay true to the vision of the company.
That's great. So what do you see, like thinking about this then just a little deeper, what's your ideal person that you're hiring for? What do you look for when you hire somebody?
Oh man, I get this asked all the time, and this is key part of my interviews is how coachable are you? And I tell this to my 10-year-old daughter and my 3-year-old son. I tell this to myself because it's all about lifelong learning, right? The moment you think that I know everything and I'm the best at it, and yeah, you're not going to be a good cultural fit because you will have to continuously learn. How open are you to new ideas? How open are you to think outside the box and get solutions outside the box? Those are some critical questions that I truly look for. Is demonstrate to me, don't just speak it, because I can speak and you can speak, but demonstrate to me scenarios where you have, you have shown this skill set of being adaptable, being coachable, because I truly believe, talent can be harnessed, it can be shaped, but the ability to want to learn more and to improve yourself, I don't think that can really be taught.
I love it. Yeah, it's actually one of our big ones we talk about too is lifelong learning. And when we look at clients, like we have to have clients that are coachable too, because if we're going to do something, it has to happen, right? And if you
have to let go of your old ways to be able to reach to the level where you want to go to. Because and a lot of authors say this is what got you here is not going to get you where you want to go.
Yes.
And that's why internally you're seeking answers to that problem. You're seeking solutions to that question.
And every business owner is going to hit a point where they're like, oh crap, what do I do now? I got $1 million, or I got 10 million, or I got 100 million. Now what do I do? And how do I build my organization and my time and my, focus to that next level?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. It's really interesting to watch and see. And also interesting that a little bit of perspective, like outside perspective. It's amazing when owners are in the business and somebody comes in from the outside and they're like, have you ever thought about doing this? And sometimes the owner would be like, we used to actually do that. Why'd you stop? I don't know.
Yeah, no, the matrices are important. And, something that I've been learning of late is also build dashboards for yourself, because build personal dashboards, build professional dashboards, build environmental dashboards. What are the important things to you and how are you monitoring those things? Whether those be financial matrices or, like I said, your personal burnout rate, whatever it is how are you keeping tabs of those things? And that I think will improve you as a leader.
That's brilliant. I love that. So you mentioned, I can tell you read a lot of books and you really believe in continuous learning just by what you're saying. It's clearly not just something you wrote on a piece of paper.
Right. Absolutely.
Do you have like a go-to or like anything you've read recently that you would highly recommend?
Oh my God, and I've been recommending these 2 books to everyone. If you're a business owner, definitely please read The Diary of the CEO. A phenomenal book, really, really great insight. It's kind of lengthy, but great. Really interesting aspects of different life cycles of a business and what you need to do to be able to stand out from competition. And you as a leader, the things that you need to implement. And the second book that I've been recommending to people is The Science of Scaling. If you're at that growth stage where you're like, oh, I don't know, and he talks about concepts of linear growth versus substantial growth and the kind of growth that scaling requires, it's going to be an eye-opener and a paradigm shift in your thought process. I think that's it's had a huge impact on me, and I'm very sure that it'll have a huge impact on all the future readers of this world.
Really? Wow. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one, and I'll definitely check out The Diary of the CEO. I hadn't heard that one before. So
yeah, I mean, younger gentleman, and he's run many successful organizations. There's a lot of learnings from his perspective and him having to operate global companies and Yeah, just a great read, and also kind of confirms the fact that age is just a number, right? It's how much effort do you want to put into your development as a leader.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think my big takeaways from you are systems and processes, the right culture, and and watch ourselves while we're watching everybody
Yeah,
else do their job.
absolutely. I mean, it's important, right? Like if you are at a burnout and your company is growing, you're not going to be really of value to anyone, including yourself. So yeah, keep a check on yourself. Make sure you're doing okay mentally, physically, and companies will grow.
That's awesome. This has been a sheer pleasure, and I just thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for taking the time to just share some nuggets with us.
Thank you, Warren, for having me. It's a great pleasure, and to all the listeners, I wish you all the success.
Liked what you heard? Let's make it real. Schedule your free coaching session today at sugarland.actioncoach.com.